Shalom, shalom.
Shalom, brothers. Turn this on.
Yeah, we're going.
Okay. Hey, brothers, y'all about Shemi Al Shah here with the brother Malcolm from Chicago. So it's just basically a open forum. So you have something that you wanted to start off with, or something you wanted to speak on?
Apostle, Salaki Elder, I just want to go in on basically, I had a girl earlier today that I was battling on the comment board with, and she said something on one of my videos, and something to the effect that she found it offensive that I keep calling us Israelites when we're Africans. And basically, I told her, well, I find it offensive when you call us African when we're Israelites. And we were going back and forth, and she's talking about that Ham didn't exist, and I said there's relics and evidence in history that prove that they did, and that's basically where she's getting the chemic stuff from. So we can,
right, and that's where they get. Where do you think the name chemic comes from? Like, you people are stupid. That's out there in that, I call it whack conscious movement. You people are stupid, because the very name that you use, chemic, it goes back to the Bible. It goes back to the Hebrew word chum, which means ham, which is where you get chemic from, which is where you get the word chemistry from, which basically means heat. The name chum or ham, in English you say ham, in Hebrew is chum, means heat. It means hot. That's when you say a man and a woman have good chemistry, that means they have good heat together.
God.
So that's where you get the name chemic, or you get the word chemistry. I mean, so these people, they're out of their goddamn mind, man. That she or the woman speaking to this on this brother's comment board, saying she finds it offensive that we call ourselves Israelites when we're Africans. We're not Africans, all right? The reason why we were in Africa is because we're what you call refugees. Do you know the word refugee? You call Haitians refugees. You call Cubans refugees from Cuba. They come over on a raft to Florida, because Florida's right there, or they come on a raft from Haiti to where? Florida, and they're known as what? Haitian refugees or Cuban refugees. So we were in Africa because we were what? Refugees. Why we were there? We were running from the Roman Empire. That's one of the places that we ran to. We didn't just go into Africa, but a good bulk of Israelites ran into Africa. You got something?
She and then she said something about and I told her that Africa was named after Scipio Africanus,
right,
who was a Roman general
who defeated Hannibal in the Punic Wars.
And she came back and used that and said that something about Hannibal was called Africanus, and I was like, this girl, you really are stupid.
Yeah, the woman, whoever was on this brother's comment board, you're a retard.
She's one of them Hotep chicks.
Yeah, you one of them Hotep bitches. So you out of your goddamn mind. Africanus, first of all, Leo Scipio Africanus defeated Hannibal in the Punic Wars. See, at first Hannibal defeated him. I believe it was it's called the Battle of Cannae. At the Battle of Cannae, Hannibal defeated Scipio, and Scipio had about 80,000 men, and they marched down on Hannibal, and Hannibal had about maybe 25,000 men. He lost maybe more than half of his military force when they came through the Alps, and they came on the backside of Rome to attack Rome, because no one in history would ever think to do something like that. So Hannibal took those war elephants and his men, and they went through the mountains. And when the weather conditions there, because they're used to that hot climate, a lot of the men died in the mountains because of the cold. A lot of them died too fighting the Gauls, because you had the Gauls that were there in the mountains when they were coming through the Alps. But once they got through, they were on the backside. They were on Rome's backside. And at that particular battle, Hannibal defeated 80,000 men with about a band of 25,000 men, and maybe a handful of war elephants.
And also the province that Hannibal came from was the historians have all written and admitted that it was a province of Judah. All right, so that's just historical history. That's historical evidence that she's just either oblivious to or ignoring.
Right, and then another thing too, Carthage, the language they spoke in Carthage, guess what it was? Hebrew. Some of you will call it Phoenician, and you'll show what? The Paleo was known as Paleo-Hebrew symbols. Some people will call it Phoenician, but it's actually Paleo-Hebrew. And Carthage, the language that they were speaking in Carthage, they spoke Hebrew.
Okay.
By the way, and the name Hannibal, that's actually his name is actually a Hebrew name. His family name Barca is Hebrew, because the name Barca goes back to the Hebrew word baracha, which means lightning. So what Hannibal's father, Hamilcar Barca, taught his son Hannibal was lightning warfare. So the Barca name basically meant lightning. From the Hebrew, some people will say Barak, but it's not Barak. Barak and Baracha sound the same, but Barak means blessed, but Baracha means lightning in Hebrew. Matter of fact, Mortal Kombat had a character that had knives. His name was Baraka.
Khan.
And he tore you up with those knives that came out of his arms.
Very fast.
Very fast. But Baraka, you say it in English. In the Hebrew, it's Baracha, which means lightning. Lightning warfare. Hannibal Barca.
Khan, I got a good scripture
Go
for
ahead,
you. This is Joel 3 and 4. Actually, I'm going to start at 3. And it said, and they have cast lots for my people, and have given a boy for an harlot, and sold a girl for wine, that they might drink.
Right, and that's dealing with the transatlantic slave trade. All right? The transatlantic slave trade, when they were bringing Negroes from West Africa to America, and hell, about a good 48% of those slaves were brought down into Brazil, into South America. But the transatlantic slave trade, the slaves was being brought from West Africa, and not only West Africa, from Portugal and Spain. They were being brought across. Some was dropped off in the Isle of Cape Verde, or you call it the Cape Verdean Islands. And the language they speak in the Cape Verdean Islands, because that was a province that the Portuguese had, they spoke Portuguese. So you people that call yourself Cape Verdean, you ain't nothing but niggas from the west coast of Africa or from Portugal and Spain that was dropped off at the Isle of Cape Verde. And you think that you different from the Negro here in America. You the same people. Your ass just speak Portuguese. All right? You might call it Creole. The women in Cape Verdean women, they call them Creolas. You ain't nothing but Judite women with Portuguese flavor. That's all you are. You ain't nothing different.
Kind of to back you up, Elder. I actually was reading in an article. I can't remember where I even got the article from, but I was reading an article about Edomites sailors talking about being attacked by pirates that were speaking Portuguese, that were Negro pirates. All right, off the west coast of Africa.
But, so that had to be right there from the Isle of Cape Verde. Because what's this chick? The chick she used to deal with that dude, Wiz Khalifa. She's a Cape Verdean chick.
Amber Rose.
Amber Hose. Okay, Amber Hose. she's a Cape Verdean chick, and she was talking about when she married Wiz Khalifa that her family didn't come to the ceremony, because then she was saying, because we have culture. You're saying that the Negroes here in America have no culture. So your culture is what?
Wow.
What the fuck is your culture? Your culture was superimposed on you by the Portuguese. Where you speak in Portuguese, or you call it Creole. You call yourself Creolas. So what fucking culture she talking about? You're a fucking black bitch that speak Portuguese, all right? You ain't no different. You ain't no different from the Negro over here in the Americas or in Haiti. You ain't no different.
You got a quick precept for you,
Kind
brothers?
of.
It's the book of Jeremiah, chapter 17, verse 4. Say, and thou, even thyself, shall discontinue from thine heritage that I gave thee.
Right. So we discontinue from our heritage. So those of you that's in the Isle of Cape Verde, I keep talking about the Isle of Cape Verde, you discontinue from your heritage. You're Israelites. You don't want to acknowledge. You think you something different. You ain't nothing but bunch of niggas that speak in Portuguese, all right?
And she's talking about she got culture,
Yeah,
and they didn't want to come to the wedding. Yet she didn't readily admitted that she's been with more men than she could count. So is that your culture? Is that what you're proud of? All right, it's ridiculous, man.
It said, I'll just read the last part. And thou even thyself should discontinue from thine heritage that I gave thee, and I will cause thee to serve thine enemies in the land which thou knowest not. For ye have kindled a fire in my anger, which shall burn forever.
Right, so coming over here to the Americas, transatlantic slave trade, we served our enemies. And we still serving our enemies right now to this day. So for that woman to say that, I'm offended at you saying that we're Israelites when we're Africans, you're out of your fucking mind, all right? You don't know a goddamn thing about history, all right? You Kotek motherfuckers, all right?
God, she was quoting a bunch of pseudo-science made-up bullshit history.
Right. And
that hotel, all that Scientology, all that stuff was put together by so-called white men.
Exactly. If you want to know something, I'm gonna call you a Hotep bitch. First of all, you know who was the top Egyptologist in America before you fucking black ass niggas in the fucking ghetto knew anything about some Egyptology bullshit? He's a white man who liked to fuck boys in the ass named Aleister Crowley. Okay, this is before the turn of the century into the 1900s. All right, this is back in the 1800s. This is before Albert Pike. Albert Pike and these different Masons, they all praised this guy, Aleister Crowley. He was the top Egyptologist on the planet. There wasn't none of you fucking niggas around. It wasn't no Ben Yayakum around. Okay, it wasn't no Sheikh Anajat around. None of these motherfuckers was around. Aleister Crowley was the top Egyptologist. Go look it up. A lot of these nigga entertainers in the entertainment world, they worship Aleister Crowley. Michael Jackson being one of them. Aleister Crowley believed in something called sexual magic. Where did he get it from? He got it from the fucking Africans. Okay, you Kotek motherfuckers. All right, stop trying to hide it and lie, because sexual magic is a practice of the ancient fucking Africans, or I'm gonna call them what they really are, ancient Hamites. Sexual magic, which is going up the anus of a child, namely a little boy, to preserve yourself, to keep yourself young, and to increase your so-called power in witchcraft. All right, it's called sexual magic. The what you call the Eye of Horus, I call it the Eye of Hoas. The Eye of Horus is called, I think they call it the Kahu. You see your boy, no light. I ain't gonna call him light, no light. He always puts that makeup on his eye. That they also call that the black sun, because it's talking about going up the anus of a child.
Wow. And they praising that.
And that's what you motherfuckers praise. Don't come with that bullshit, man. We're gonna tell the whole story. We ain't just gonna give you a piece. We're gonna tell you the whole story. You got something, brother?
Con, this is Joel. Just to piggy lamb back off what you said. This is Joel 3 and 4. It says, "Yeah, what have you to do with me, O Tyree and Zidon?" Those are Hamitic, so-called African nations.
That's right.
And all the coasts of Palestine.
Right, because in the ancient world, they were basically our neighbors. We were basically right next to each other. Right next to each other. Go ahead. "And
if you recompense me swiftly and speedily, will I return your recompense upon your own head."
Right, talking about you Hamites. So the Lord said speedily he was going to recompense and return it upon your own head. For what? For what you did to Israel. All right? Now, back in the ancient time, there was a time when we were neighbors. We lived next door to each other pretty much, if you want to call it that. Or let's go even let's go back a little bit further. There was a time when the Hamites totally occupied that whole area that's known as Israel today, or at the time, Canaan. The Canaanites was all up in the land that we call Israel to this day. And we had to move their ass up out of there. And like it says in Song of Solomon about the old inhabitants of the Holy Land, which were Canaanites, for most odious works of witchcraft and sacrifices of men's flesh and blood and all that. It says that in the Apocrypha. If Elder Menatazak, if you wouldn't mind getting that Wisdom of Solomon, I think it might be Wisdom of Solomon. Is it 5? I think. But it speaks about the old inhabitants of the Holy Land. The old inhabitants of the Holy Land is the ancient Africans, the Canaanites, and we had to remove their ass the hell up out of there for the things that they were doing. One of the things they was doing was screwing little boys up the ass. It's called sexual. It's called, the practice today is called sexual magic. You got something, brother?
Khan, this is Nahum 3:10. Yet was she carried away, she went into captivity. Her young also were dashed in pieces at the top of all the streets, and cast lots for her honorable men, and all her great men were bound in chains.
Right. So the transatlantic slave trade. Once they got us over here, they set up an auction block. Hey, we got a fine Negro here. We're gonna start the bidding at $100, $100 here, 125, 120, 135 there, 150 there, 150, 200, 250 sold, $250 to the man over here. That's what it means, casting a lot. Because at the auction block, what they do? Raise up. That's casting a lot. This person casts a lot. This one casts a lot. This one casts a lot. And they took a family and separate a total family. Separate the children. The mother is sent over here. The father is sent over there. The children are split up, and this master takes them. This one takes them. That's what it's talking about. Who that happened to? That happened to us.
Didn't happen to those damn Africans.
Yeah. The Africans was a part of the roundup. Them and the Arabs were part of the roundup committee that was rounding us up and bringing us out to the big boats, because the slave ships couldn't come but so far in, because you got the big rocks and the reefs or whatever down there, and the bottom of the ship could get lodged in there.
Right, the
so
tide would go in and out.
Right, the tide going in and out. So the ship had to stay out far enough out there where they couldn't come in and get lodged into those rocks or reefs that were close. So there were smaller boats. They would put us on the smaller boat and bring us out to the big boat and put us on the big boat. That's how that worked out. And you got over there in West Africa, Sierra Leone, you got Fort Judah, and how the hell Fort Judah and Fort Benjamin is over there in West Africa? Why is it over there in what's called the it's called I think the Republic of Benin? There was a kingdom there known as the Kingdom of Wyatt, which is another way of saying Yahweh or Judah. The Kingdom of Wyatt. There's pictures you can look on Google. There's pictures that go back to the 1800s. It shows a coronation of Judah in Wyatt over there in what's called the Republic of Benin. And there's maps, and it shows Wyatt or Judah actually on a map on the west coast of Africa. So what the hell are you talking about, lady? You don't know what the hell you're talking about.
Those maps were made in 1743 by an Edomite, and they were labeled those as Negro land.
Yep, they called it Negro land.
And see, what's deep, and a lot of people don't know, is that Israel was scattered. Israel was already in those lands and had cities and provinces even before 70 AD.
That's right.
Even going back during the so-called Greek Empire, after the rule of the Persians and the Medes, you had diasporas, and you had certain persecutions that was led against the Jews and Israelites before the Lord was born. So when you go into that history, and then like elders was mentioning about Hannibal Barca, going up to Hannibal Barca, and one of the regions where he reigned and he ruled was in Iberia, and he would go from Iberia to Italy. Now the word Iberia, what does the word Iberia mean? It goes back to Eber.
Right, Ibar.
Ibar, from the past, all right, which is the language that was during the time of the split, the Tower of Babel. When you go into Genesis, what is it, the 11th chapter? The 11th chapter, if I'm not mistaken.
Chapter, yeah.
During the time of the Tower of Babel, when the Lord confounded the languages, in the days of Joktan and Peleg.
Joktan, Peleg.
Right.
That was our Faxaz 9, I believe.
Exactly. And Peleg meant division. And remember, the word name means nomen omen. Right? It was pertaining to a spiritual event or prophetic event that happened at that time. So, I believe Peleg's son was Eber, which is Ibar. Because why? That line kept the language of the past, which we have is the Lashon Kodash, or today called, that's where they get Hebrew from, going back to Eber. But then they turned it into Iberia. So if you do enough research, you got to, I've searched out a couple of times, you know, Esau hides it.
Yep.
You know, they say it goes back to the Iberia's river, Eber River. Which is Eber.
Esau's a liar, and he's full of shit, and he hides things in plain sight. It's like what I shared with you about what we learned today at the monument.
Yeah.
That was heavy, man. And now the information is out there.
That was heavy.
On the monument up there in New Haven of the Amistad.
Yep.
Okay,
What we didn't know is on top of it, they showing you Judites drowning in the water, face up in the water, drowning, giving up the ghosts. But it's on top of the statue, so you can't see it.
Oh, and that was the spirit that showed these brothers.
And it was a spirit, because as we walked up, Jake came out as we walked up because he saw us walking and looking at the statue. He came out and just started talking to us, and it turned out he was on the Amistad committee. He was on the committee for the Amistad, and he said, well, you know, the most important part of the statue you can't see. And we're like, and then he was like, up top of it, it's showing you how our people are being thrown overboard and drowning, but it's on top. And then he was actually rallying to get the copy of that put down at the ground level so people could see it. Then the brother, his name was Otis. Then the brother said, you know, I would take you up to the 4th floor. I would take you up so you can look down and see it, but I have a meeting to go to. So, you know, we were just like, I'm looking at Apostle Tahan, Apostle Gabar, and Apostle Ramlan. We're just like, wow, you know, because it changed the whole dynamic of the lesson.
Yeah,
what we're about to do now that we knew that this information was there, and so while we're setting up to do, you know, to go live and do the show. 5 minutes, 6 minutes later, he comes walking back and was like, "Hey guys, my meeting was canceled.
Ooh.
I'll take you upstairs so you guys can see it."
That's the spirit of the Lord.
So the spirit of the Lord is moving, man,
and
everything's being revealed, man.
Hey, that goes back to Psalms the 50th chapter, man. I will set them in order right before their eyes. See, the Lord has given us back our covering, our nationality, all right, our laws, statutes, and commandments, our culture. Right, our way of life, how we're supposed to live. That's all happening right in the midst while the Most High is destroying this devil, man. And the Lord set us up to be a thorn in their side to bring out this history, man, because this history hasn't been told right. Most people think that everybody Greek had to be a so-called white man. Everybody Roman or anything you see the word Roman, oh, that's got to be a white guy or Spaniards. And no, that's not so. You had a main flux of our people, so-called dark-skinned people that are the real Israelites, so-called Negro or Indian descent, that ruled in those time periods that were in those areas, man.
Had different positions.
Yeah.
In those different kingdoms, they had positions in those kingdoms. You had Israelites that was on the bottom, and you had Israelites that were like well-to-do and had positions. And that were handling things, handling day-to-day business.
And not to mention that the people in Europe were a dark-fleshed people anyway.
That's right.
The original inhabitants of Greece, you know, and the Bible gives you the account of when it was changed from dark to pale, man, to you pale-fleshed people, right? And other books, you know, that were written by scholars, you know, that give you that information, and just because they don't put that information into your schools, it doesn't mean that it's not so.
That's right.
Yeah, and then that term Europa, some even say that it goes back to the Carthaginians, which of course Europa was a black woman, basically black demon or whatever.
Right.
Our people was always into woman worship.
Right.
And throughout all these different captivities and time periods that our people were in, they were always going off into that Queen of Heaven worship.
Right, and they're about to do it in about 2 days. It's called Mother's Day.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? All it is fucking Queen of Heaven worship. You know what I'm saying? Queen of Heaven worship.
I got a quick precept for you, brothers. I mean, this is the book of Isaiah chapter 29, verse 15. It says, "Woe unto them that seek deep to hide their counsel from the Lord, and their works are in the dark, and say, who seeth us, and who knoweth us?" And you got a lot of our people that do this, you know, and you got a lot of these so-called scholars or these Christian preachers and stuff. They know that what we're saying is the truth. They know that we're the real Israelites.
They know.
But they're paid. They're part of the system.
Well, a lot of those, like he said, a lot of those southern fried chicken eating ass niggas in them churches. No, let me say this: you fat back and hog maw and neck bone eating ass motherfuckers. A lot of you go to Masonic lodges and go to Masonic meetings, and they tell you what to teach when you go back to your church. Okay, a lot of you are Masons, and you go to Masonic lodges and you get your instructions and your orders there, and you come down into those churches and pass that shit down and pass it off as if it came from the Bible, but it goes back to some Masonic lodge that your ass is a part of. A lot of the heads of these different churches, they're all a bunch of Masons. They're all a bunch of Masons on the low.
That's right. And the thing is that goes into Esau too, though.
Yep.
Because Esau paid a lot of money, like the brother was saying. Here it is, all this time. We went to that monument. We filmed it plenty of times.
Right.
But Esau tries to keep us away from a lot of this information, such as the Library of Congress,
Right.
where a lot of these artifacts and icons and all kind of information on us being the Israelites lie.
It's there.
And so they make sure they do a diligent effort to keep our people from accessing them spots unless they're on the tape, unless they
juiced in.
Juiced in.
Right.
But it's all right because the Most High is through His Holy Spirit is blowing down the doors, man, and we're bringing out the truth, man. So we'll just finish the verse real quick. It says, "Surely your turning of things upside down shall be esteemed as the potter's clay." You know, meaning what? The so-called white man, that's basically what he did. He turned history upside down. In other words,
That's right.
he imitated us. All the great people in history or any type of history, real history, with a story in it from whether it was the Dark Ages, whether it was during the Grecian times, right, the Roman Empire, all of that was our history that he said he taught in his schools that was them. Okay, whitewashing. Exactly. Just like they went with all the images, right, during the time of, especially the Renaissance era,
Yep.
right, the rebirth, 1453.
Yep.
They went to taking all those different images that was spread throughout Europe in the different caves and the wars, Spain, Portugal, up in Russia. They went and some of them they couldn't do nothing with them. Some of them they destroyed them. Some of them they couldn't do nothing with it. Some of them they put acid on and they was able to make the paint run off and look like a so-called white face. But they did this effort because they turned everything upside down. That's right. That's how they figured they could keep ruling over us, by making us think that they were the gods, they were the Israelites, they were the Lord's chosen people. And you see that happen still today, even on a level of religion. Yep. Most of these religions, they all concede to Esau being God.
That's right.
All right, starting with Cesare Borgia.
That's right.
Borgia, which goes back to Serapis Crispy and whatever.
Yeah.
Serapis Crispy. I'll just say it like that.
Yeah.
So they make Jake. They got Jake still, even in these church systems and all these religious orders, following after the so-called white man.
That's right.
That's why when you get these clowns, you know, the Brother Jay and all these other dudes following after Hocab Malone and them, they sit there following them. They still, in their mind, deep in their mind, even though they joking, they think that's master.
That's right.
You see? But the Lord says, surely you're turning the things upside down shall be esteemed as the pot of clay. So now the Lord is breaking up all the lies, everything. Like we used to hear about.
That's why they hate us. So.
Yeah, they hate us, man.
Right.
We used to, you know, we went to school. We learned about some of the Greek history.
Yep.
We used to hear about Achilles.
Now.
Yeah, it's getting hot. Yeah. It's getting hot in here.
Satan said, man,
that's Satan. Right. Satan did not like that.
Yeah, man. Hey, you know what? We gonna keep going though, man. Yeah. I know y'all gotta do a little more than that to stop us. But see, the truth is.
And that's never happened where it just came out the
out of the stand
brace like that. Yeah, that's never happened
by itself.
Yeah, just like all of a sudden.
Yeah, because that fire's coming out, man. And it ain't us, it's the Lord, man. It's Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai. It's the spirit of Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai shaking up Esau's whole system. And that's why they've been plaguing brothers' channels, taking brothers, Elder Anak, he said they constantly taking his videos down off his channel.
A lot of mine.
A bunch of other brothers, some of your brothers.
Simply.
Apostle Rhyme Love Solomon. Yep. I mean, they just taking our videos down left and right because they getting frustrated, man. And that's beautiful, man. This truth is getting to him. It's supposed to get to him.
That's right.
It's getting all up in him. All right? But that, I mean, that was the main point, brother. I mean, hey, the Most High is just exposing this devil. He's bringing the truth out on all the history, man. Now we're finding out all these great men that we read about, such as King David, King Solomon. And it tells you clearly, Songs of Solomon, what, 1 and 5. I am black but comely.
I am black but comely. That's right.
Right. So any publication anywhere that says I am black means exactly that, except the Bible. It's ridiculous.
Right.
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. All right. If you picked up any college course book, any high school book, and it said I am black, it would mean to be taken exactly that, except
for the Bible.
When you read the Bible. But this is First Maccabees 3 and 48, and it reads, "And laid open the book of the law, wherein the heathen had sought to paint the likeness of their images."
Right, the heathen, you other nations. And it's taught mainly, it's the so-called white man. And you sought to paint what? Your images. So you see a Catholic Bible or a Jehovah's Witness picture Bible.
This is crazy.
Yeah.
Man, we must really be. This has never happened, ever. Come, but we're gonna keep going.
Yeah,
We're gonna keep on going.
Like I was saying,
you heard them, Elder. You heard them.
Yep. You see a Jehovah's Witness Bible or a Catholic Bible, those picture Bibles, and all you see in there is nothing but white people. You see pictures of nothing but wall-to-wall crackers. From the time you open the book, you're Noah, you're Adam, you're Noah. Okay, you're Japhet, you're Ham. Well, Ham, they'll probably try to make him dark skinned, you know,
or make him light. It's funny that Uriah and I would always talk to him, and I would always say that the day that they show Amalek or Agag on TV, that they would show him as a so-called black person, and they did that on that show.
Kings and Prophets,
which was a story about King David coming into power, and I went in so hard. I'm not going to say that it was because of me, but I did some responses to that and attached it to their advertisement, and they pulled that show off the air, man. All right, they just got offended by the truth, man. Because it's right, and I said it, and I called it. I said the day that they put Amalek on TV, they're gonna show him as black,
and not only,
and that's exactly what they did.
And it wasn't like right then and there. It was actually years beforehand. All right, it was
I kept saying it over and over again.
If they ever do this, this is what's going to happen. You know what I'm saying? And as soon as they put out a biblical movie, and it's like talking about Esau was coming, the Edomites were coming, they gonna make all the Israelites, all the other people were so-called white folks. Soon as it got to be some Edomites, they gonna make them.
It didn't come a bunch of Edomites, a bunch of dark flesh people with swords coming to attack the Israelites. But there's an image of King David over in the land of Israel, all right, which they would never show you, all right, and the statue was kind of worn out and beat up, and the statue had been there for a long time. And when you looked at the image of his face, you clearly saw the facial features of a so-called Negro.
That's right.
And now when you look at that very same image, they cleaned it up and changed it, and they changed his nose and his lips. Yeah, on that very same. So he didn't have those thick, wide, flat, broad nostrils of a Negro nose and the thick lips of the Negro. Those are gone. Now you got a sharp, pointy nose and thin lips on the very same statue. And that statue had been there, and I forget how I got wind of that.
Damn sure altered it.
But they altered the statue because the images exist of the way it was prior and to the way it was now before they fixed it.
But when you go into the Middle Ages,
and they would never show you. Matter of fact, before you do that, if you could see if you could find that what I'm talking about. It just put statue of King David in Jerusalem, in the city of David. There was a statue of King David in there, and he looked like a so-called Negro. And it said something that they never show you on the tour on the tours when the people do the tourist thing. They wouldn't show you that statue. That was something that you would never get shown.
I'm gonna look for it.
That's just the white man being the devil, being himself.
Was the picture? Was the statue?
It was a statue. But if you could find the images, yes. Now see if you can pan on the differences, because I've seen them. Because the new one, that wide nose and those thick lips are gone. Because the statue needed to be worked on. Because it's really old.
They cut it.
Oh wow! They just cut it off.
All right. I'll put it on.
Wow. But you know, on the statue, that's what they. So that means that's in the middle, because when you can clearly see the wide nose and the thick lips on the original statue, but right there they chipped completely off.
They knocked it off.
They knocked it off and then configured it.
And that's also part of iconoclasm.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's what they did, man. That's what they did.
But if you go into the icons,
now on that one, if you blow that one up, that actually looks like it was. If you blow that image up right there,
or him playing the harp.
Yeah, him playing the harp.
But that's the same one, but it's still with the note chip.
But if you look at it, if you zoom it up, that's before they started messing with it.
I'm gonna try to zoom it in.
So that scripture you read in the Apocrypha, read that again. The one you was reading, the Maccabees.
Okay.
Because that's what the heathen did. They sought to put their images in the scriptures and say that they were the people of the Bible.
You see that face? Now you can clearly see that's the face of a Negro.
I can't see it.
That's clearly.
Oh yeah, that's a Jake all the way.
That's how it was.
Yep.
That's what I'm talking about.
And it's got the dark bronze. When you go ahead and try to go ahead on and look at all the ones in Rome, the pictures of the Caesars and so forth, it's always white marble. Right. They don't use no black marble to paint no white man.
Nope, they don't. But this is
well, I'll tell you what. There's an image of Marcus Aurelius in that white marble. Yes. But you can clearly see that he's a nigger with an afro, with a nappy beard, all of that. And it shows Marcus Aurelius. It says, I think it says it's in the museum in Rome. Marcus Aurelius in his triumphal car, and he's moving into Rome.
Right, this one.
No, it's a different one. I think I might have. I'm gonna look at my phone. I think I got a copy of the image in my phone. I'll show it to you. Yeah, go ahead, brother.
This is 1 Maccabees 3:48 again, and it reads, "And laid open the book of the law, wherein the heathen had sought to paint the likeness of their images."
Where the heathen had sought to paint the likeness of their image. So, like the image the brother put up there a few minutes ago showed you King David, clearly a Negro, and how it showed you the wide nose, the facial features and all that. And then there's another image he puts up there and shows you with the...
it's all destroyed, chipped away.
That's destroyed, chipped away. They chipped away the features in the face. That's the so-called white man being a devil, being what he is, which is the devil.
This was the image you had?
I was about to pull up one of those,
yeah. Because there's a bunch of other images of King David too. And I think Isaiah, the prophet Isaiah or Jeremiah, they look very similar. You can see that they dark-skinned men.
With afros and beards.
Afros and beards, man. So that's the thing that got a lot of people thrown off. They don't understand that the Israelites were in these other nations scattered in these other areas.
That's right.
And some of them were observing the customs of that land.
Yep.
Okay.
Oh, here it goes. It's called Marcus Aurelius and his Triumphal Car, Conservatory Museum in Rome, right? Now, feast your eyes on that. Is that look at his hair, look at his beard. That's a black man with a nappy ass afro and a nappy ass beard. And that's Marcus Aurelius right there. And it's in that white marble that the brother was speaking about. Shows there's him sitting in his car, in his triumphal car. Marcus Aurelius.
It went there, but you can clearly see that's afro and beard, man.
Yeah.
And we're the only people on the planet that really rocks the afros and beards.
God. Yeah. Hey, look, it's no.
It's a nigga statement.
It's Marcus Aurelius right there.
Right. This is Joel, back in Joel, the 3rd chapter, and back in the 4th verse, and I'm going to finish it. And it says, "And if you recompense me swiftly and speedily will I return your recompense upon your own head.
Yep. Speedily will I return your recompense on your own head. The Lord is going to pay you back for what you did to us. All right? You're not getting away with what you did to us. And even trying to erase history, amongst Gad, they call it erasing the ancestors. That's basically what you devils tried to do. You tried to erase the ancestors and then remix it to say that it was you, when it was clearly us. It was our foreparents. It was our forefathers. During the Dark Ages, during the time of those kings that was putting hell on you damn so-called white people. That was our foreparents putting hell on you. Wasn't the other way around. You got more?
Con. It says, because you have taken my silver and my gold, and have carried into your temples my goodly pleasant thing, the children also of Judah and the children of Jerusalem ye have sold unto the Grecians.
Right. The children of Judah and of Jerusalem ye have sold to the Grecians. That's talking about the actual Greeks. That's talking about the so-called white man, excuse me. Because the actual Greeks is Japhet. Okay, we wasn't being sold to Japhet. That's talking about the so-called white man in Japhet's land. Because all of you identify yourself as Greek. Yeah. They used to have a commercial back in the 80s. I'm such and such, but I'm going back to Greece. Hey, I'm Jewish, but I'm going back to Greece.
Wow.
Back in the 80s when I was a kid, they used to run a commercial on TV back then. Oh, I'm Italian, but I'm going back to Greece. Oh, I'm Polish, but I'm going back to Greece.
Or even in that, what was that, Do the Right Thing?
Mm-hmm.
Or School Days. It's part of it. School Days.
Oh, School Days, right? Spike Lee.
Yeah.
Spike Lee joint.
Jake, he said, I'm Greek. I'm a Greek. I forgot Jake's name.
Yeah, that was Dean Big Brother Almighty.
Almighty. Yeah.
Almighty. I think he might really be a Simeonite. I guess he was really a Simeonite.
Yeah, he's really.
But he looked like a Negro. But in the thing, he said, I'm Greek. Because that's how Jake is.
Yep.
You know?
Yep. He said, I'm a Greek. I don't play that shit.
Yeah.
So you could Watusi your black ass back to Mother Africa. He was talking to Lawrence Fishburne.
We just went to the store to get some wine, and one girl came in. They both look kind of Latina, and we asked the one girl, "What's your nationality?" She said she's white and she's black. We said, "Who's your father?" She said she's black. Her father was black and her mother was white. So we said, "Oh, so you're black because you are who your daddy is." She said, "No, I'm white and I'm black." She would not claim she didn't care about the black. She wanted to make sure she's doing the white because she was proud of the white and didn't want to hold on to the black.
But you know what? That's a damn woman anyway.
That's a fucking woman anyway.
That's why you can't take a woman serious, man. You know, they get all bent out of shape. Now, if I heard correctly, when we was at the Greek restaurant talking to the Greek guy, he said, "Look, because the father, the man's seed is dominant."
That's what he said.
You know,
that's right.
So that's the contrast of speaking between a regular man and a regular woman in this world.
Right. And he's a foreigner who lives in this land, but he understood that your heritage is through your father. He made that very clear.
Man, this I got an aunt who lives out in Trumbull, and she was telling me and she was telling me and one of my cousins that she was saying that there's a lot of, she said that basically that there's a lot of land out there that our family had owned back in the day, and basically what these devils did is they just took the land and built a library, built a school on it out there in Trumbull. She said, look, she said that we can go and put in a claim for that, and she said something that has to be like a blood test involved or something like that, but she said the women can't do it, only the men are able to do it. She said the men have to go in and do it because we're from that line. Now this is her telling me this.
Yeah. Because see, the thing is, that's again...
And I didn't know nothing about that.
Yeah,
you know, this is some family that I never met before.
Right.
So and they're telling me this is on my father's side, his grandfather, which would be my great-grandfather. This is them, the stuff that they did when they left out of the South and they came up to the North and they settled in Trumbull. They basically built the public school system in Trumbull. My father's people were responsible for Trumbull having a goddamn school system.
But Esau would never share that.
Yeah, Esau ain't
It won't be on the
share
local
that.
news. Breaking news
what
story.
they call the Long Hill section of Trumbull. It's because of my parents are the reason why the Long Hill section of Trumbull had a fucking general store. Why they got a school system there. That's what my aunt was breaking. You know, she was breaking a lot of stuff down to me. But she was talking about the land. She said that the boys have to go and put in the claim.
Yeah, come me upstairs.
And all we have to do is prove, look, this so-and-so, this is my father, which goes back to my grandfather. So we have right and claim to that. She was telling us about it.
Wow.
That we have to come and put in the claim for it to get it.
That's all right. You ain't got to put in no claim.
And they're not going to go through the woman. And the reason they're not going to go through the woman because the women, you know, they receive seed. They don't get it.
That's it.
So that you can't trace back to the father through a woman because all the children that she's had is from another person's line.
Right. All she is an incubator. She's an incubator, right?
But you see, like Esau do that. Tell you know have these things that you have rights to
blood quadrant
right.
Shit.
But you just got to be able to prove that you such and such percent native. That's why we ain't gonna worry about all that, man. Daniel, what's that? Daniel's 7 and 18. Where the saints of the Most High shall take the kingdom.
That's right.
That's how it's gonna go down. That's how it's gonna go down because the so-called white man is a damn liar, man. Even if you like, say if the men did go petition or whatever, you know, to get the land back. You think this devil really gonna give them the land back?
Hell no.
He's a goddamn devil.
You got Gadites all over the country that got documents and everything going back to when treaties were signed. Hell, even here in Connecticut, in Bridgeport, Connecticut, the Paguksa Indians have been putting in claims for years for where City Hall, where McLeavy Hall, and downtown Bridgeport City Hall, all of that.